good idea, because it didn't take me too long to realize that the factory of Hermès was twice more expensive than any other subcontractor. So it really had a terrible impact on our profitability. But it gave me the opportunity to know Jean-Louis Dumas, and of course, this is much more important. So, you know, at the end of this period, at the end of the 90s, we started to see more and more launches. The market was even more saturated. Successful fragrances were often hyper-sexualized with very rigid gender messages. And I think the early 2000s were not different. So then fragrances, from a business perspective, lost a little bit of its appeal, and many beauty brands focused on makeup, on skincare. What is interesting is that we are probably now witnessing a rebirth of fragrances in the premium and luxury categories in particular, for different reasons. Alors, it may have started a few years ago already. First, I think some evolutions towards self-expression and personalization. Gen Z, which look for different type of fragrances, maybe like more gender neutral. I think the need to integrate sustainability opens new horizons. And, niche fragrance is not something new, but it looks as if maybe the time for niche fragrances has really come. I'm not, to be honest with you, an expert. I will also ask my panelists later on, but it seems that there is a time for niche fragrances. So we will see, but this is a little bit the quick historical review that I wanted to start with. Now, I would like to share with you also a few elements on the business of fragrances, how this industry is structured in terms of actors and dynamics. All right. So for me, if we look at the segmentation of different actors present in the fragrance industry by universe of origin, let's put it this way. At the beginning, like 19th, 20th century, we had traditional beauty brands, beauty or fragrance brands. A good example is Guerlain, a good example is Rochas, etc., etc. Lancôme could also be seen as a pure player. And then what happened in the 60s, 70s, 80s, 90s is luxury fashion brand extensions into fragrance have obviously disrupted a lot the traditional fragrance beauty brands, to the extent that many of them almost disappeared. And those who are still there, they are not so many. Okay, so this has been really the big evolution. It looks like niche and perfumer fragrance brands could be, to a certain extent, the new disruptors. Because for Gen Z, they have a different meaning. They offer more opportunities for personalization. And it will be interesting to see how this evolves. Of course, you have other type of fragrance brands. You have cosmetologist fragrance brands which are more coming from home, hair care, also celebrities, fragrance brands, then some jewelry brands, not only fashion, so luxury jewelry, and also more generally, fashion, sports, lifestyle brands which ventured into fragrances. I'm thinking about Adidas and other brands which are maybe with Coty, we will see later on. But I think the three most interesting type of actors are highlighted in color at the moment here. So what I would like to remind you, maybe you know already, is that fragrances and luxury fashion brands are the best business friends. For a lot of luxury brands, which started by being fashion brands like Chanel, Dior, to name just a few, but also Armani, also Calvin Klein, the fragrance became a huge business. And then, of course, not just fragrance, often makeup, sometimes skincare. How does it work? I'm not sure you all know. It worked primarily through a common success story that developed through collaborations between the luxury brands, the luxury fashion brand, and the beauty giants, technically through licensing business models. Sometimes it's also possible that the brand sold the rights for beauty, but most of the time it's licensing. And it's actually the dominating model still today. If you really look at it, and it's something I develop in my courses, only a few luxury brands succeeded at developing fragrances and beauty internally. And in fact, it's not as straightforward as it looks, because Chanel, for many years, she had licensed, even sold her fragrance business, which finally came back when the Wertheimer family joined again the two businesses. And Dior, at the beginning, after having launched his first fragrance, Miss Dior, very quickly sold the beauty rights to actually Moet Hennessy. It's probably something that is surprising to you, but yes, the Dior beauty, Christian Dior beauty, was part of Moet Hennessy before Lvmh was created. So in fact, only Hermès, Bulgari, LV now have been totally developing fragrances in-house. Voilà. So I would like to show you some examples because it's still a very important dynamic in the fragrance industry. So if we take the case of L'Oréal luxury division, and I try to update their most recent publications, you see I circled in red all the luxury fashion brand which L'Oréal is in charge of, mostly through licensing agreements. It's an amazing number of brands. And, they are constantly adding to that portfolio. Prada, Valentino joined recently, and you have smaller brands as well, big ones. In fact, L'Oréal only acquired one niche perfumer brand, Atelier Cologne, because I think their dynamic is really with luxury fashion brand that complement their pure beauty brands. Alors, licensing, I know that for those who haven't followed my courses, it's maybe not always very clear what it means here. So what it means is basically that the brand keeps all the copyrights, but they will give to this beauty giant, L'Oréal, for example, here, the right, exclusive generally, to design or intervene in the design, product development, manufacture, and distribute. Which means that, in fact, everything is done, or almost everything, by the beauty group, which is the licensee. But in a good licensing contract, the brand controls everything, and they work closely together. So this is really what I call licensing in this industry, which differs from franchising, which is more part of wholesale distribution. All right. So this is something that my students have already seen. I always illustrate it with an example of a case I am very familiar with, which is L'Oréal and Armani. And my student, Tingyu, will be able to talk about it if needed. But it's been an amazing collaboration, which started in 1984, if I'm not mistaken. So Armani was only 10 years old, and it continued. So it's like a wedding. I often explain a good licensing contract is like a wedding, and the two partners are really happy together. And it works really. L'Oréal does everything, but Armani is involved in everything as well. And obviously the business belongs to L'Oréal, but Armani is paid significant royalties. The figures I show you here are not the real figures, but it's just to explain to you the mechanism. If L'Oréal turnover with Armani was, say, $1 billion worldwide, if the royalty percentage was 7%, then Armani would receive each year around $70 million royalty, with almost no cost against. So it's actually a very, very highly profitable business for Armani, but he doesn't control the sales. All right. So this model works in all groups, all beauty groups. Estee Lauder is a very interesting case. I have another student who knows Estee Lauder very well, two actually, in my panel. But Estee Lauder, for reasons of geography, of course, is more likely to work with American luxury fashion brands, and there are not so many. So they have maybe less compared to L'Oréal, less licenses, which is maybe why they were a little bit more aggressive in making acquisition of perfume brands with Kilian, Le Labo, Édition de Parfum Frédéric Malle, for instance. But the logic otherwise is relatively the same, plus, of course, their own brands. LVMH, LVMH is a bit particular because Bulgari and LV do fragrances in-house, but LVMH has still a beauty division where Dior, Givenchy, Kenzo, Loewe develop their fragrances. And it's among a beauty division. It's not directly together with the fashion brand. And in this beauty division, you have obviously Guerlain, another number of brands that LVMH acquired. And as you can see, LVMH also acquired some niche perfume brands like Maison Francis Courtier. And recently, it's very recently, a very small, but it's a revamping of an old brand, Officine Universelle Belli. Voilà. If we look at Coty, which is another big player, alors Coty, they are very, very strong on licensing. They have mostly licenses, and they are partnering for many years with Kering brands in particular that they inherited from P&G, but also Hugo Boss, Calvin Klein, which are big licenses. Okay, so the principle is really the same. Shiseido has also, although they are really refocusing today on high margin skincare, they still leverage on luxury fashion brands for fragrances. And they signed recently, I think it is Tory Burch, which is interesting, how Tory Burch ended up working with Shiseido. And otherwise, Narciso Rodriguez, Dolce & Gabbana, and Issey Miyake. Puig is a very interesting player, which sometimes is a bit under the radar if you are not very familiar with this sector, but it's a very, very big company now. And, you know, it looks complex, but in fact, they have invested in fashion brands because sometimes to secure the future of beauty, fragrance, they also acquired the entire brand. Because certain brands actually have been very weak in fashion, but remain strong in fragrance, which is interesting. It's the case of Paco Rabanne, for instance. They also invested in niche brands and also have licenses with fashion and luxury brands, as you can see here. There is another group which is close to my heart because it has been founded by an ESSEC, Interparfums, which is really a pure licensing company, even if they acquired Rochas and they acquired, I think, the rights for Lvmh, but before they were the licensee of Lvmh. And for the rest, it's licensing. And as you see, these are maybe relatively smaller brands in terms of what they want to do for fragrance. Also, Jimmy Choo is quite strong nowadays, but you have really different beauty companies, beauty groups in the West, mostly in Europe, with which a fashion luxury brand can partner with, and they can try to find the right partner. Okay. There is even a smaller new company, which is Swiss, called Brands Beyond Beauty, which is partnering now with Elisab, Chopard, and Philippe. Alors, about the rise of niche fragrance brands, because while we have seen here the way luxury fashion brand grew into fragrance, a niche fragrance brand, as you can see, have also been dynamic, because luxury giant, a beauty giant, sorry, acquired, often at a relatively high price in the past 20 years, a lot of niche fragrance brands. But some are continuing to grow, or new comers, and they are still independent. Alors, there are two brands which are very strong, so I'm sure you heard about them, Byredo and Diptyque. What you may not know is that they actually belong to a private equity fund, which is specialized in beauty, called Manzanita Capital. They also own a few other brands, as you can see, including Space NK in the UK. And it's interesting because what we see here is that private equity money also believes in the future of these fragrance and niche fragrance brands, perfumer and niche fragrance brands. Juliette Has a Gun is also a very interesting case, quite popular, I think, in different parts of the world at the moment, even if they remain very niche. And it's an interesting story because it was created by the grandson of Nina Ricci, Romano Ricci. So he has a great heritage, a family heritage in the world of fragrances. And this brand, which has obviously a very unconventional approach, has attracted a few years ago, 2 years ago, Ushopal, which is a small branch of Cathay Capital portfolio. And this year, I think a few weeks ago, Cathay Capital also invested in Juliette Has a Gun. And they had some interesting initiatives in China mainland, playing with Tianmol and also with some other digital tactics. Alors, after that, I could list 100, 200 brands. I just picked a few that I know. L'Artisan Parfumeur, of course, is quite famous. Some are bigger, some are smaller, some are local, more American, more Middle East. I mean, there are also some more local culture elements in some of these brands. The point is here, there is, of course, a lot of small, independent, niche or not so niche fragrance brand in the world. So it's quite fragmented. I just would like to pay tribute to two people I know well. Tebow Crivelli, who was my student the first year I was teaching in ESSEC in 2004. He did the Grande École program, the master program, and he worked many years for L'Oréal in Hong Kong, if I remember well. And he later on created his own brand, Maison Crivelli. And I think things are going quite well for him. He has a couple of shop-in-shops in high-end department stores, like Lvmh or Selfridges. And Michel Goudzats, this is really old. He was one of the first director of the ESSEC MBA in luxury brand management. And I met him shortly in China because he had left ESSEC already when I joined. but still his name is associated with ESSEC, and he has relaunched a family brand in Grasse called Le Jardin Retrouvé. It's quite a nice endeavor. So you see, there is quite a lot of things going on here. And I would like now to focus quickly on the Asia-China opportunity, but this will be quite short. So basically, I call it the fragrance opportunity. If we think about China itself, I found that statistic, China has 20% of the world population, but perfume consumption in China is 2% of world consumption. So that says something. It's obvious that in the history, fragrances had different cultural meaning, but it was not very strong in the past 100 years. So there is a lot of potential for growth. I think situations are a little bit similar also in Japan, Korea, Southeast Asia. Fragrances developed earlier than in China. And I think for these markets in Asia, Gen Z, and also that growing need or at least interest in expressing more your personality, your individuality through the choice of your fragrance is obviously an interesting opportunity for, in particular, niche fragrance brands, but also probably for Chinese brands. You know, we talked about Japan beauty, Korea beauty, and now we talk about C beauty, which means China beauty. Now, China beauty is not necessarily so much fragrance at the moment. It's maybe more skincare or makeup. Alors, are we going to see, in the case of China, a growing Chinese ecosystem to facilitate the development of fragrance and beauty brands? Because it is needed. I think the biggest obstacle, well, one big obstacle for Chinese brands is that at the moment there are no giants, no Chinese beauty giants. And which means that the dynamic of having maybe Chinese fashion brand developing fragrances in collaboration with Chinese beauty groups cannot really take place at the moment for that reason. It's not probably mature. But Lvmh, and we have students of ESSEC who work there, including in China. I have a student, I don't know if she's in the audience today. Lvmh has been in China for many years, 30 years, and they are growing their presence. So that is, of course, an element of the ecosystem that brands need. Well, this is not so much for a Chinese brand, but more for a non-Chinese brand. There is also an ecosystem to facilitate the importation and the purchasing by Chinese consumers of all kinds of perfume brands with Tebow Global cross-border and their logistic unit. They created that perfume route to facilitate the importation of fragrances which are not registered yet in China. Alors, are we going to see soon Chinese fragrance brands and Chinese beauty groups? I think my student is in the classroom. She sent me a message. So hi, Daisy from Lvmh. Daisy is also a graduate of this program. Hope you can intervene later on, Daisy. So yeah, the question is about Chinese groups. I think first there is one element which is favorable to the growth of C beauty. I talked about it already in other classes. It's what I call the premiumization of the Chinese economy, the fact that middle classes can now trade up, look for better quality of life in products which can be important for them, and fragrance, air purifiers. I mean, there's a lot of products around fragrance and scents that can improve their quality of life. And also brands, because the rise of Chinese brands is a national priority in China, encouraged by government, legitimated by China new economic status. At the moment, it's a historical opportunity because outbound travel restrictions still penalize, to a certain extent, Western brands. as they cannot totally use the magic of travel retail, except in Hainan. And one of my panelists can talk about it. But there's also additional purchasing power to be spent in China mainland since people cannot travel. And local brands may have an advantage in terms of digital agility. Also in terms of being culturally relevant, as it's growingly important in this period where rising cultural confidence in China is a big topic, and hence by national pride, it's a big thing to make sure you are culturally relevant. And here, local brands could have a big advantage, of course. So, a few beauty groups, but nothing comparable with Western groups. And I don't have figures, but Jawa has been here for a long time. I met them personally when I went to China in 2004, Shanghai Jawa. They were the first partner of Sephora in China. Probably Lin remembers this. Then you have Shando, which is more recent. Marubi, which is more on makeup, skincare, sorry. What is interesting is that Jawa had partnerships and maybe some discussion with Lvmh. Marubi has been invested by L. Catterton, which is a private equity fund partially controlled by Lvmh. So it's interesting to see that Lvmh is not very far. But these groups are still in a maturing phase. And there is Yatsen, which you all heard about, Perfect Diary, I'm sure. So I'm not really the expert here. I think they made a big noise and potentially created a big buzz and a lot of sales as well. Is it sustainable? Anyway, this is an actor I could not mention. And we also have some upcoming beauty brands, fragrance brands, but maybe more around home fragrances at the moment. To Summer is one, Reclassified is one. Again, here more home product scented, home fragrance scented products. We have Beast, Florasis, which made also a big buzz. I mean, some of these brands are really trying to be culturally relevant, which is interesting. Santus, also trying to work with the Chinese culture. I think it's more a retail concept, Scent Library. Interestingly, Spanish beauty giant Puig acquired recently a stake in this brand. So I think it's a sign that Western groups are paying attention to it. And of course, I'm getting to the end of my presentation. So to transition a little bit with the panel, I would like to say that one of our alumnus and panelists today launched this year what she considers to be maybe the first real premium Chinese fragrance brand. And I will ask her to tell us more about her brand in a minute. This is Lin, who was my student back in 2009. Her brand, because I think she is too shy to show you big presentations today, is called Document and has some quite interesting, unique visual elements that you can at least get a feel with these few pictures I took from her document. But I will let her talk more about it. So that's for me. I just wanted to keep maximum time for the panel. I hope you still enjoy this quick journey through fragrance. And I would like to open up the panel now. So I will start animating the panel a little, asking a few questions to the panelists. And then during that moment, maybe you have done it already, don't hesitate to put questions to the panelists, to everyone or to one in particular, me included, in the chat. And our great marketing recruitment manager, Johnny, will help me will join us. He is already there to help me moderate the panel with the questions from the audience. Are you here, Johnny?
Yes, Poof. Thanks for your very nice masterclass. So everyone, for all the participants, if you have any questions, feel free to drop your question in the Q&A box or in the chat box. And you can choose the questions for our professor, or you can choose the questions to our panelists. You can just indicate, or you can add the names there. And later on, we will pick up their questions, and we will address your questions by the professors and our panelists. Thank you so much. Okay, so now it's time to move to the panel discussions, and welcome all our alumni to join our tonight sessions. Thank you so much.
They are all here, right? Because I had not seen Ivy. Are you here, Ivy, now?
Yes, I'm here.
Everyone is here. This is great. Again, first of all, thank you. They are all working hard, and thank you for your time today. Alors, I will start with Lynn. Lynn, I should tell you something because she maybe will not say it. She was the first student in her year to have a job offer. Do you remember, Lynn? And she hesitated to take it, and I pushed her to take it. And she was offered a position by Clarence in Singapore, if I remember well, right? Lynn, was it in Singapore? Lynn, can you unmute? Hello, Lynn. Lynn, I think she has a small connection problem. Lynn, are you there? Can you unmute? Lynn, can you unmute? I think she's coming. Can you hear me, Lynn? Can you speak? Oh, okay. We will do it later then. So maybe I will ask Tinu. Tinu, who was my student not so long ago, and who had a long career already with L'Oréal, with Giorgio Armani in China. So Tinu, can you tell us what kind of innovative digital tools does L'Oréal use to evaluate marketing campaigns when they launch or want to support their fragrance products?
Yes, hello, Professor. So at L'Oréal, we consider the digital evaluation are two types. One is for short-term ROI, which is more sales-related. Another one is long-term ROI, which is more brand equity related. So usually we see traditional touch points are more easy to control and less sales linked, like TVC, so on. But however, at the digital touch points, as you all know, that's very fragmented and high frequencies and also sales KPI driven, which is more like algorithms, A/B testing, or affiliate incentive. So those are more short-term driven evaluations, focusing on the quantity part, which means the more buzz created online, the better. So therefore, at L'Oréal, we consider there might be a lack of brand quality measurement. That's why L'Oréal is using the most advanced tool to evaluate marketing campaign for our fragrance brand, long-term brand equity by few criteria, such as like when we talk about CRMs and promotions on e-commerce, whether you do too much promotions on your e-commerce, or what's about your messages or brand image. So I would like to give you two examples. So for the message part, L'Oréal collect word cloud for a period of time. So during this period of time, whatever co-mentioned with our group brands, then we create and generate UGC and non-UGC content. So it's a user generated content and non-UGC. So we split it up and to see that how consumers talk about our brands in order to make sure that even the UGC content is talk something good about our fragrance brand. The second part is the image part. So this criteria we look into is brand image for sure. So we collect millions of pictures and videos on different digital touch points, such as social medias, online ads, TVCs, and then we generate those into an image cloud. And this image cloud is by impressions. So the bigger impressions, the bigger image you will get. So through the image cloud, you can see how your fragrance brands look like from a consumer point of view. So we can make sure that every image on digital touchpoint is well aligned with our brand DMAs, such as, like, for example, Armani's brand DMA is being feminine, confidence, perfections, and absolutely luxury. So through this Armani's image cloud, you can better help us whether those image consumer sees are matching to the DMAs we want or not. So those are two criteria I would like to share with you guys. Yeah.
Above my expectations. Thank you.
Okay. Yeah.
Now, as we can see, a lot of marketing, obviously, a lot of data analysis here. I think Lynn is back, right? Lynn, can you hear me now?
I can hear you. Can you hear me?
I can hear you.
Okay, great.
Good. So Lynn, we will go back to you because I wanted to start with you, but we could not reach you. So I quickly showed and introduced your brand. You remember that in my course, I always say a premium or luxury brand should have some unique feature, particularly at the beginning. So what is unique about Document fragrance brand compared to other maybe Chinese brands? Or I think you like to compare yourself with Byredo and Tom Ford. So what is unique about your brand?
Yeah, I think I still remember, Denise, in your class back in 2009, you talked about how long it's needed to create a true luxury brand. At that time, you make the example of Jimmy Choo that take 10 years to become a real luxury brand. And for China, how long would it take to create a luxury brand in China? So this was still, in my mind in the last decades. So when we create documents, we still remember how important the brand heritage and the DNA inside it. So in terms of the uniqueness of documents, and we think that first, our heritage is very special compared with all the other Chinese brands and the foreign brands. We started with our culture rooted in Chinese using fragrance. I think that in your slides you mentioned that the perfume is actually oriented in Europe in 19th centuries. But however, in China, we see that for Asian Chinese, they started to use perfume and scents in very ancient Chinese time, like Song Dynasty, even before, in the gesture of incense, and mainly in the royal family and in all the religion and in the temples. And also, there's a very important perfume ingredients. We call it ambergris, which is also a signature ingredient in Juliet again. Actually, this is the founded discovered by Asian Chinese as the first discovery, but then it's amplified and being used by the Western countries. So for us, we search our heritage. We don't have royal family in China. So what's the heritage we have is that actually the religion and the cultural elements in the temples. So you can see that if everyone have the chance to visit our store in Shanghai Huaihai Road, when you enter the store, you will think that, oh, the store is like a temple. And when you enter our store, we give you the feelings that you calm down yourself. And in some of the elements, and you can feel the balance within the Chinese culture. So on the left side of the screen is our, we call it a diffuser, but it's a very, very expensive item in our store. It actually also carry the balance of the creator. And in all our products, and all our image, we carry on the balance rooted in our brand heritage. And also you can feel that the brand style is really a Changku style. So Chan is mailing for some Chinese in the Chinese religion and also the philosophy. But we found that Chan is also an Asian Chinese way to behave like modern Chinese in cool style. So Changku is our brand style. So I think within this two very important parts, we form our brand heritage from the very beginning, but start to build up the brand DNA and also the symbols little by little, because now we are only a brand 3 months is old. So we cannot compare with Byredo and Tom Ford, which is decades. So with the 3 months is baby brands, we cannot talk to everyone that we have a strong and a deep brand story, but this is something that we started with is very important.
Lynn, I really appreciate your humility, and I also better understand now the design. It's quite interesting. Even if you are very young, you seem to have already 2 stores almost. You're going to open the second one. So how come? And do you really believe in physical retail for your brand?
It's because our perfume positioning is in a premium and luxury positioning. So if anyone asks which is your equivalent local competitors, at this moment we are the only one in this positioning. So in our positioning of the perfume is around 100 euro to 200 euro, and our home diffuser, the left side one, is 300 euros. So in a very expensive positioning as a new brand, I think the experience and the service is very important to the customer, really to feel, to understand, to know the brand, to start to build a connection with the brands. So our own channel, own customer is very important to the brands. So and differently from the other brands, start with Tebow, with online, with easy way to have your distribution. We want to, have very targeted consumer, very top consumer in our channel. So our channel strategy is that we only open our boutiques and in a very premium location. So we are very cautious on our online distribution.
I understand. Lynn, your brand seems to be really embodied in the Chinese culture, but you have been studying in France and you have been working 10 years for Clarins and Sephora for a long time. So are some multicultural elements still in your brand that makes it maybe different from a pure Chinese brand created by people who only worked in China mainland for Chinese brands before?
Yeah. And if one word to describe what is documents for you guys to easy to understand, we are the perfume as a Balenciaga.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, we have the rebellion spirit.
Rebellion. Okay.
Yeah.
Very good. Maybe you will have questions later, Lynn, so I will move to someone else for the moment. I would like to welcome Ivy. Ivy is also one of our panelists here who had a great experience with Estee Lauder, both in Hong Kong and now in Shanghai. So Ivy, I know you are quite familiar with online channels. So since they are growing rapidly in all beauty categories, but fragrances, I guess, have some challenges here because of the nature of the product, the need to smell. How are brands doing? How are fragrance brands doing? Can you share some insights, maybe from L'Oréal, from Estee Lauder, or from your observations?
Hi, Professor. Sure. Okay, firstly, I'm not a super expert, for online business, but after COVID, I think everyone is seeing the booming business for online, especially for fragrance. I think since 2020, fragrance sales has been doubled. after COVID, recent years, I think the fragrance is the most fastest growing category within the three categories. Even though the business size is still is quite small so far. But it's very interesting that we found out compared to skincare and the makeup category, fragrance basically is more heavily relying on the personality and preference, the smell, and also the personal preference. But it still can fast growing. I think that's because one of the reasons is we have demand there. But even more important is the international brands. They have very rapid growth on the online development in different ways to entertain the market. Just give you some example. I mean, firstly, lots of brands, they started to work with some KOL or KOC to describe a scent online. But this one is already like a little bit old fashioned. Basically, everyone is doing that. And more brands, they are doing some more interesting things, which including renovating their online boutique site for upgrading the visualizations. Instead of traditionally assorted fragrance by like traditionally category, like floral, fruits or color thing, we are seeing more brands, they are trying to personalize or characterize in the online, in the virtual way. Give you an example, it's not from Estee Lauder. Basically, I want to mention YSL. Their website, their mini program, they don't call fragrance as fragrance anymore. They call it haute couture, and they link to their iconic fashion style by calling each fragrance to describe it, to describe each fragrance as one of the fashion dress, like a tuxedo trench, then to reflect each lifestyle, the special moment, how you want to dress up today. Yeah, so for us, it's a perfect example, you know.
Okay.
Also, the business show the result. The YSL fragrance is really growing very well. Another case you also mentioned, like boutique, right? The niche fragrance, they are booming very fast, and also I think it's booming fast online and offline as well. For online, they use different things to categorize their product by 5 travel destination, like Paris, Venice, you know, those iconic cities, to give you imagination and the dreaming. But in the same time, they perfectly launch the seamless from online, from online to offline journey, which is launch the exhibition online for the first and the second tier city to bring more online customer to go to their exhibition or go to their store to have the smell.
Okay.
Yeah.
Same strategy, same omni-channel, online to offline strategy as other brands in a way, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Ivy, because I know you seem to believe in the untapped potential of Chinese perfume markets. Do you agree with me that there is huge growth? How do you see it? And can you share us some elements on this fragrance opportunity in China from your perspective?
Yeah, like this, you know, for international brands, I think that we still like control majority of the stake of the market right now. But as Jocelyn described, you know, documents really give us an eye open for us to see how potential the Chinese brand can be. I also see some of the questions from the question box is asking: is it sustainable for Chinese brands to, you know, go moving forward? Because most of Chinese brands for fragrance, the thing they are playing with is the guocao. It's like China style trend, you know, the Asian culture or Chinese culture, which only Chinese or Asian familiar about it. So there's no question about China brand. Of course, we'll go big and we'll go bigger. It's just like, can we go globalized? Because if you only stay within China, Chinese culture, how far can it go? You know, how far you can go. This is also my question asking ourselves as well. Yes, the answer is yes, but it still takes quite a long time, and it takes a lot of learning with the big four producer, because for fragrance, I think the main producer are from, it's international, right? It's from the big four companies right now. Even documents, they cooperate with it's a German one. I don't know the name, but it's international producer. So we still have a long way to go, you know, in terms of craftsmanship, in terms of sourcing and the global marketing.
Okay, and understanding the time factor, I guess,
yes.
also. Thank you very much, Ivy. Maybe we can open up a little bit to the rest of Asia, because we have two representatives from other regions. We have Pilsu, who, my dear friend, you were able to join Lvmh perfume division, and I think Ghana in particular. So can you tell us a little bit about the growth of fragrances in Korea?
Hello guys, my name is Pilsu Shin, and then I'm working for the Galang as a retail director since 2018 October, just right after graduating ESSEC. So it's been 3 years. Well, basically, I used to work in the fashion industry, and then I moved to the cosmetic, and then I've seen huge growth of fragrance during the pandemic. Well, basically, if I say about growth with a figure versus 2019, market estimation of fragrance this year would be about 90% growth versus actual 90%. Well, I saw those historical data by axis, I mean the skincare, makeup, fragrance since 2012. And then I have never seen this kind of huge growth, well, by axis. So definitely the fragrance brand is on fire in Korea, especially, well, actually, the Chanel and the Dior and the Jo Malone is, they are giant in Korea, almost 90% of market share. I mean, they accounted for. But I could see that some niche brand as well. For example, Byredo, Diptyque, and then I'm not sure you guys are aware of Santa Maria Novella. So this kind of brand is also getting bigger and bigger.
I don't Pilsu, because I know Korea a little, and many of our students, Korean students, worked for Amore, which is the Korean giant. Is the Korean beauty, because Korean beauty is more mature than Chinese beauty in terms of size, but they are more initially, historically on skincare. So are they also investing or supporting upcoming fragrance brands, like Korean fragrance brands? And there are some examples of brands to keep an eye on.
So what do you mean? So for example, like
Korean fragrance brands that would be either supported by Amore or independent niche Korean fragrance brand? Any?
Well, actually now the famous brands are all the brand we imported. I haven't seen any specific kind of brand which is developed by the Korean, and then which is containing kind of a Korean heritage. Like I have never seen the kind of the document the brand in Korean. So that's why I was very interested in document. So still, I mean, like a foreign brand like Dior, and then the aquatic Tebow, for example, the Byredo Diptyque is quite dominant. So maybe after 3 years and 5 years, I might see some brand rising from Korean but I've never seen it before,
Okay.
and then I haven't seen yet.
Thanks, Pilsu. Thanks for that. I would like to turn now to Anna Carissa, who just graduated. So you can congratulate her. But before, she had a life with Estee Lauder in the Philippines, if I remember.
Yes.
So she knows quite a lot. So can you talk a little bit about how the fragrance market looks like? Because you were also managing, I think, Southeast Asia from the Manila for Estee Lauder.
So I worked for the Estee Lauder company, specifically in the Philippines, with the brands Estee Lauder, Erin, and Tom Ford Beauty. So I worked primarily with the Philippine market, but I do have some knowledge of the Southeast Asian market. And fragrance in that market is very popular because the climate is very humid. So it's a way of smelling clean and fresh. So it's very, very popular. But I will say that perfume is underdeveloped in the region. So fragrance, like you mentioned earlier in your slides, it's become democratic through Unilever and P&G. So you have very much a high use of like very scented shampoos. And then during the pandemic, Bath and Body grew because people were spending so much time at home and they wanted to curate their space and have it smell really, really good. But overall, fragrance, perfume, I would say like a luxury perfume, niche perfume is underdeveloped and there's still so much potential. If we're going to talk about market share, it's probably around 15% fragrance mix of business, and then skincare is still 60%, makeup is 25%.
Okay.
Yeah.
Anna, you left the Philippines just in the middle of the COVID, if I remember well, but
yes,
during that period, I'm sure you kept an eye on this market, I mean,
yes,
Southeast Asia. How did the brands that were, selling fragrances, how did they manage the lockdowns, and how did they compensate for the lack of physical traffic? When it comes to sampling is so important.
Yes, that's a really interesting question because so I did leave in the middle of a lockdown, and Southeast Asia has used lockdowns a lot more than other countries, I would say, to manage. And so the two things to think about here is one is that e-commerce is the biggest driver in the region right now. It's growing its mix of business, but with e-commerce, with people purchasing online, how do they sample? And so what fragrance brands have done is, one, they did a strong focus on CRM, so really to keep their existing customers repurchasing. And then there was an aggressive use of sampling and promotion with the purchases. So if you purchased one perfume, you would get like 3 samples with it as a way for you to keep discovering other products. And then there was continued working, I think Ivy mentioned this as well, continued working with influencers to post in the feed, to post promotions for home delivery, to post about online concierge services. And there was like really, in terms of also the store assets that you would use online, it was really considered in trying to make it sure that it was very effectively describing the scent for consumers in order to entice them to even want to make that purchase.
Okay, very interesting. Very interesting. Thank you, Anna. We will come back to you later. I would like to come back to China and also ask now Jinshi, our 6th panelist. Are you here, Jinshi?
Yes.
Okay, Jinshi, I think if I remember well, you didn't come from the luxury industry at all. You came to ESSEC, you graduated, and you achieved your dream to finally work for, was it Guerlain, your first company in China after graduation?
Yes, it's Guerlain first, and then like for 1 year in Diptyque, and then to Max Factor, and then Sephora, and now I'm joining Intercost.
Great experience you have, and great knowledge of China mainland, I'm sure. So can you talk to me 1 second, because I mentioned in my previous masterclass, the new digital AI idols, like virtual influencers in China. What do you believe in it? And do you have some interesting stories to share on how they can help beauty and fragrance brands?
Well, my major was computer science in university. So, and I did the e-commerce before. So I'm always quite interested, keep my interest in this part. AI, I like to share a very interesting story because you can see this year, you have a lot of AI idols on stage at one side, and the other side is like on social media. There's a famous one, Ayai, in Red Book, and you can click her, because at the first time I found her post on Red Book, I'm so surprised because it takes me like 2 or 3 hours searching is he's a real person or she's an AI. So I think it's like with the technology, it's booming, and now the AI idol looks almost the same as a real human. And then we find that a lot of brands, they have their AI celebrities, because there's a lot of celebrity accidents. Let's say that in this year in China, a lot of premium brands and masstige brands, they have some issue with this KOL. So we can say there's a lot of brands, they have their AI KOL, like a local brand you mentioned, Florasis. They have a young girl, AI girl, like wear the Han Couture. I forgot her name, but anyway, she is the AI KOL of the brand. So we discuss a lot. It's like for this AI idol or AI KOL will be replace the real KOL, or it's like how will it develop? And then because now we are working with a lot of local brands, so we say that is because a lot of local, the young brands, they are growing from internet. So they have a lot, their consumer are Gen Z, and also they're growing with the internet. They have this kind of social media. They are following the social media every day. So everything new, they will try. That's why they want to have this AI KOL, AI idol. But it helps sales. At this moment, we will say no, because skincare, for the skincare KOL, we'll see how the skin changes with the skincare products. And for the makeup KOLs, you can see how the fantastic of her look. But for this AI, it's like at first the consumer don't believe that their face just tell the colors, or they have the real effect of the skincare products. But why they are still quite popular, because they think it's like to make friends with their young consumer. Yeah. So one day, like maybe for example, if Florasis launch a fragrance in future, we don't know, because it seems like it will not. Yeah, Florasis still focus on makeup at this moment. She will say that, hey, we have a new fragrance and you can try it at the retail concept, like in this way. Okay. Yeah, that's why I think they have this kind of AI things.
All right. Thanks. That's interesting, Jinshi. I have another question for you. Yeah. My last question before we open to the audience. Yeah. You know, all of you are working for Western brands in the end. And at the same time, I think you all believe that local brands have a future. So I would like to ask you, Jinshi, as far as these local fragrance brands, I showed a few in my presentations. Do you think they really have some possible advantage, in the future with their digital agility and also their cultural relevance, maybe their better understanding of Chinese culture? And how do you think these fragrance brands can leverage on this digital agility in particular? Can they do better than Western brands at some point?
First, I would say I do believe that the local fragrance brands will have the great market in future. But how long is the future? I'm not sure, because my most experience is in makeup, and you can see the local C beauty. What do you talk about? Like the ESSEC, the Perfect Diary, the Florasis. They are just booming from like 2 or 3 years. But why they success? Because I think it's like the link between they and the young consumer. It's like they understand the young consumer and they know how to play with this kind of internet things. But why we say local fragrance will win the future? Because I fully agree with Lin that is the fragrance culture in China has long history. Because at that time you can say there's a lot of poems talk about the fragrance the gentleman used in before. So I think there's still a fragrance culture in China, but it's just for young generation, it's like how they find, because I think the Gen Z, they are willing to try everything, no matter it's Western or Eastern. And also they are quite interested in this kind of they are culture confidence. So I think for them, they are willing to try the local fragrance. But how long is that? Because I think it's the manufacturer, because now I'm working for the manufacturer. So I think there's still a long way to go for the local fragrance before they find the right way, the right manufacturer, and also like to solve a lot of ingredient programs in China. Yeah.
All right. Thank you. I think it's a very reasonable answer. Thank you, Jinxi. Thank you all.
Yeah, thank you.
It's not finished at all, but I would like, of course, to open up now the discussion to the audience. So we will try to manage the questions that have been raised. I'm going through the chat box a little at that moment. There is a question about having the presentation. Well, you will get the recording of the class for sure. And I see no particular problem with sharing the presentation, even if I hope you will appreciate, because it doesn't sound like it, but it's a lot of work. But I will share it, no problem. I go through the chat. I see some clients of documents already. Lynn, so you have some fans in the room. You can be happy about that. Let me see. We have a question to everyone from Rattal. How many years of work experience and in which industry before you guys applied? I think he means to the MBA. So, well, you are all very different cases, but you can just mention maybe just a number first. How many years? Anna, for you, how many years experience?
I had 7 years of experience.
7 years. Tinyu?
So
Tinyu?
I actually just had 3 years before I applied.
Yeah, you were the youngest. Normally, we ask minimum of 3 years. Pilsu, you are on the high side, I know.
Yeah, 9 years before the applying, so I was the oldest one.
No, but we had some candidates before you who had even more than 10 years. What about you, Ivy? Ivy?
I had 7 years before I applied, but I wish I could, apply much earlier. I think 4 years is way enough.
Okay. What about you, Jinxi? How many years?
For me, it's 4 years in telecommunication industry.
Yeah, and you were coming from a different sector. And Lynn, you were very young too, I think I remember. Lynn, how many years? You are muted.
5 years.
5 years, okay.
Yeah,
I think this is, the average for MBAs, like European MBAs, I would say between 3 and 8 to 10 years. That's really the norm. Okay, so let me move on a little bit. Vincent Shu asked, it seems the perfume market is still under development. Yes. So how to ramp it up? I guess maybe in China and also in Southeast Asia, how to accelerate that growth, how to make the potential come true. Maybe, I don't know, Anna first, for Southeast Asia in general, what would you say?
Southeast Asia in general, I think has a lot of potential, especially I would say in Indonesia and Malaysia. So you see a lot of brands coming in terms of ramping it up. It's really about education, about getting the consumer to see the value of having a perfume in their everyday life, which I think is slowly getting there, because as we know, fragrance is something they want to have, they want to smell good. So it's now more about making it seem like something that's a way to express themselves through fragrance. And that should be, I think, the storytelling that goes with that.
Okay, thanks, Anna. Alors, for China, I think I need to ask Lynn. Lynn, it's a big risk after 10 years working for big groups and probably a decent package, you decide to take the risk to launch a fragrance brand. So how do you intend to develop this fragrance market to bring it to its full potential?
Actually, it's a very challenge. Actually, I have very good partner, and his background is the creative side. So actually, he is more responsible for the creative creation and also product design and the development. I'm in charge of the marketing and the sales operation, channel expansion, etc. But it's different than working in the big giant company. Every day is very challenging and non-stop of thinking about the next move and the next action plan. And the plan tomorrow and today may be totally different. You want to make the brand survive. That's it.
But Lynn, now you belong to the millennials. You have been working 10 years in China since you came back to ESSEC, even 12 years more, almost. Have you seen really young people, millennials, and now Gen Z, using more and more fragrances? Can you explain a little bit what's going on right now?
Yeah, actually, I can share you data from our own brands that even it's just 3 months, we got our customer data. In our purchasers, 80% are Gen Z. And also 30% of our consumers are actually from the age post 2000, very young. And their average basket is very high and around 200 euros. So we see that for new brands, your most fan base is actually from those Gen Z. They are the pioneer and the discovery and the challenge to new stuff, and they support it on the local new brands. So this is, I think, a very good move for China markets.
That's interesting. Okay. And there was a question on KOLs and KOCs. Even if you are a young brand, are you going to work in the near future with KOLs and KOCs? It seems that even if you don't want to go on e-commerce, still, using social media, is it absolutely a must to use KOLs and KOCs in China? I think it's a question for Lynn, but it can be also a question for Jinshi. Can you unmute? Yeah.
I think Lynn can go first.
The question is about how to collaborate with the
there is someone called Yu who says, what's your solution with KOL and KOC? So I guess this question is more for China mainland. So, okay.
Yeah, I think I think KOL and KOC are very important for new brands now emerging in China. I think it's too competitive and challenging for the brand to choose the most suitable KOL and the KOC in the markets. So I would more encourage a brand that the in-house digital team is search on the suitable KOL and the KOC day by day instead of massive investment. I think the giant company can do that, but for boutique and brands, and it's in another way more efficient.
Do you need to work with agencies basically, or can you try to do it by yourself?
We have we have agency and we have in-house, but the result is that in-house is more efficient.
And okay, do you want to add something, Jinshi, on that?
Yes, because I think for fragrance and for example, for fragrance and for makeup, the KOL, they are totally different style. Because for fragrance, I think they are more like writing the point, because you need to build up this kind of environment, this kind of experience to tell them how to feel the maybe the heritage and maybe like how to fill the ingredients in the fragrance. But for makeup KOLs, that's more about your like how you look like. So it's carefully choose the KOL for fragrance, because when I worked in fragrance industry before, I can say a good KOL that's really help you to build your brand image. But if you just invest on a lot of KOLs, no matter they are makeup KOLs or skin KOLs, the ROI is not really that good. Yeah, because they cannot tell the good story.
But if I can add something, because I have a wife who is Chinese and who is distributing a skincare brand in China, imported from France. And I think now some KOLs, maybe not the very big ones, the middle KOLs with a few 100,000 fans, they can also sell quite efficiently if you have a good product to sell. So what would you say on that, Jinshi?
It's for KOL. I think that's USA. I think some KOL, they do really build kind of an emotion link with her followers. So that's why she can sell, because for some KOL, all her fans think she is a good friend. She make the right recommendation, not because she just do the advertise. So that's why it can work. And so that's why I say, just be careful with when you're working with KOLs, because for sometimes I know a lot of brands on TikTok, they want to work with celebrities, but if you see the real sales result, not the GMV, that's really poor.
I guess it depends maybe the brand and the product, because I have seen some successes, but maybe Ivy, could you, without disclosing anything confidential, could you share with us how Estee Lauder is handling KOLs and KOCs in China?
We are very heavily promoting with KOL and KOC in different kind of way. For KOL, basically, we have a lot of different agencies working with different brands, and each KOL chosen to be relevant to the brand DNA. So some of them are focused on the product itself, some of them maybe focus on lifestyle or really luxury. But it's a lot of test and learning, you know. In China KOL business is booming recently. In the past couple of years, I think some of them are very productive, like this kind of super top KOL, right? Basically they can sell everything, but they are very expensive right now. And the brands, to work with them, we can have a lot of brand awareness, but it's very marginal. Because we need to give away a lot of costs, you know, some of the product discount, you know, for them, for their promotion. So I think that for now, we are trying to choose KOL in the more smart way, and with maybe more long-term investment, especially for some niche fragrance brands.
Thanks for that. I stop you because I would like to take as many questions as possible, and we have still quite a lot. So on a very different topic, I have a very precise question for you, Pilsu. Yep. Are you still there? Yeah. Johan is asking you, are there certain barriers for developing a Korean perfume brand? He says, if we think about global brands such as Lvmh or Innisfree, and also Amore Pacific, which acquired Annick Goutal, why do they make acquisition rather than launching a local perfume brand or an extension of their own brands in perfume? That's a very...
Yeah, it's quite complicated. So for the summary of question is what it is.
I mean, in a way, I help you, Pilsu. We talk in China about the growth of national pride, cultural confidence, which could be something favorable to Chinese fragrance brand in the future. Is there anything similar in Korea? The pride in maybe supporting local brands, or on the contrary, is it better to be perceived as a foreign brand to be successful in Korea in the fragrance business?
Well, actually, in Korea, well, as I told you, the Western brand is dominant, and then the brand developed, by leveraging kind of Korean heritage or Korean kind of temple or something like that. Well, it's very difficult to see, because I think this is because of the role in Korea. Because to make a fragrance brand by the law, you have to have kind of the license of, you have to be doctor or nurse to make a fragrance. So it's very high barrier to enter the business. So that's why this is one of big factor that I haven't seen the new brand by leveraging the Korean heritage or something.
I think it's a very good answer. Definitely. Yeah. Thanks for that.
So, if there is no change of the law, I think very low possibility of Korean brand which will be very famous as a fragrance developed by the Korea.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thanks, Pilsu. I move on a little. I have an interesting question from Xiaoyu Liu, who says, I think it's maybe for Lynn, do you think Chinese beauty brand storytelling can attract consumers in foreign markets?
I think we can do that in a modern way. Just we need to identify the common value about the two cultures. Yeah.
Okay. So many questions. I will try to take a few more, and then we will need to progressively go back to Johnny, who will have a few closing words, but I will take a few more. Alors, Anne truly asked a question to everyone. Are there scent families that sell more than others in Asia, I guess, or in China, like floral, fresh, oriental? There was this general idea, maybe it's a cliche, that in China, the fragrance had to be very light. Is it a cliche, or so let's answer maybe first China, and maybe Tingyu, you would like to answer that question about some specific scent families that are more successful than others in China, Asia?
You mean in China, right?
Maybe first, yeah.
So currently I live in Singapore. I haven't been able to travel back to China for like almost 2 years because of COVID. But I do find a very interesting phenomenon that how those Guotao brand is doing the storytelling or having some product idea or the sense like a 气味图书馆 has something related to your daily life, like room temperature water. They name the sense like just like a room temperature water, or watermelons, something really close to your daily life, and more deep to how to say to the Chinese cultural. So as Professor and other panelists mentioned, that the Guotao brand is, or in China now, is quite popular with those history or heritage, like the sense, like also like the traditional Chinese pear, like 二里藏中香, all those like special linkage with it's all back to the Chinese culture. It's very deep and very contemporary, which I found very, very interesting because when we were doing the Armani special editions product or some China tribute products, usually we will fall to some stereotype like Mudan or Jasmine, which is sometimes it's not as deep as those Chinese brand or Guotao brand do. So I feel at that size, they are definitely creating a lot of interesting scents in China. Yeah.
Okay, thanks. Let's try to make short answers so that I can take a few more questions.
Okay.
I have one. I need to ask this question. It's an important one for Journey as well. It's a question from Nicole. How the Master of ESSEC helped you with your project? And I think there are many good examples here, but maybe first, since you were speaking, Tingyu, how did ESSEC help you with your projects?
You mean, so actually I was the young, kind of young one. And then to be honest, I was also having no experience related to luxury brands or those huge brands. I was doing product development marketing for a soy sauce product 10 years ago and sent to China as a Taiwanese. So that time I was always helping to do something related to luxury and do marketing in the most professional way. So I actually had an interview with L'Oreal, my dream company, but I actually failed that time in the very beginning. But the HR lady told me that what they want to have is 1/8 of the talent they consider the best. So I should go improve myself. So I went to do a research that ESSEC was one of the best MBA in the luxury brand management. And I did all my best to get ESSEC. So eventually I got an offer by ESSEC. And after ESSEC, this also helped me to land the job at L'Oreal, which rejected me at the very beginning. So for sure, that it was I think it was a life-changing decision for me that time, because if I continue to stay at the soy sauce company, I wouldn't even know that how can I raise my bar to be the right environment to get my dream job. So that's how ESSEC helped me.
Oh, thank you for that. Thank you for this testimonial. Maybe quickly, Jinshi, because I remember Jinshi, it was not easy for you to change a job as well. So can you also give your answer to that question?
For me, it's because I worked for telecommunication before, so I want to work for beauty industry. And I think the most important thing is this ESSEC experience helped me open the door of Lvmh. It's very important, I think, because you have the knowledge of the MBA project, and also you have the sense of the luxury and the premium beauty. Yeah, and I think 1 year life in France helps a lot.
Very good, thank you. And maybe I should ask Anna, because Anna, she came already from this industry, so she was privileged. But you just graduated, so you have the most fresh perspective. So why did you choose? Why did you come to ESSEC finally? Because you already knew Estee Lauder and everything.
Yeah. So in my case, I knew about the company because I knew about the program because many people at Estee Lauder were ESSEC graduates, both in the regional and the global offices. So when I was looking at the career I wanted, working in the market, I was like, how do I accelerate my career? And there was a clear roadmap of these people who had done the ESSEC MBA and then like accelerated their careers and moved up. And so that was one of the reasons I came.
Fantastic. And thank you for that. Allez, I take one or two more questions. A quick one, a technical one from Nicole. How do you select who will do your packaging design? I don't know, because we have big companies and small ones. I guess, Lynn, you had to choose to do your packaging design for documents. So how do you select the company that will help you?
Actually, all the creation part is from the in-house. So what you can say from the packaging design, the image design, video design, 3D design, and also the in-store, the visual merchandising, space design, etc., is from the in-house team. And my CEO and also the founder of Documents, he has very strong background as a creative director. And all our in-house team is also previously served Gentle Monster. So we have very, very strong in-house design team. So we don't hire any agency for design part.
This is great. This is absolutely great. Thanks for that answer. I try to take one or two more very quickly. I have an interesting question from Lisette Morales, who says, in terms of funding and raising capital to start a brand, do you see an interest from investors in fragrances now over other beauty categories? Also, I partially answered that question. Maybe Lynn, it's a question you will face soon. So do you have something to say here?
Okay.
In terms of raising funds, do you see an interest from investors in fragrances?
Sorry, the investors of.
Well, do you see an interest from, I guess, private equity investors?
Oh, yeah.
In fragrance more than maybe other beauty categories?
Oh, yeah. I think this year and a lot of investors have very strong interest on fragrances. So, you know, we are being chased by a lot of investors who want to follow the angel round investor to us, and we have to refuse.
Wow, lucky you. Happy for you. I have a quick question from Jennifer Lee. She would like me to talk more about Chinese traditional incense, essential oil. And is it something different finally from a luxury product? Do you think these brands have the potential to become the basement of luxury brands? So I guess the question, I could rephrase it as, if you are a local brand which is more leveraging on Chinese traditional incense, essential oil, could it be a good pillar to build progressively a premium, and why not a luxury beauty brand? Who want to answer that question? Jinshi, maybe? I don't know.
I'm not that clear about the question, because for me, fragrances, there are all kinds of fragrance in this world, let's say in this way, because when I worked with Diptyque before, we never imagined that a French brand has such a light floral line. You know, it's quite a kind of, for me, it's like just like the rose water, the scent. So I think it's not about the scent itself. It's just like the story behind the product.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Okay. But, you know, because we, I think I said at the beginning, the fragrance, I think it remains, because of its cultural meaning, really a luxury product within the beauty category, right? And it's really about dream, desires. You know, in China, I think it was said by me and also by Lynn that a lot of local brands for the moment, they are more around maybe home scents, incense, candles, things like this. So I guess the question is, why not? Could it be a starting point to evolve later on towards a more premium fragrance brand? Or maybe Lynn, you would like to say a word on that? Because you see this competitive landscape around you. Lynn, are you here?
Yeah, I'm here. I think that a lot of in perfume category, I think it's different than skincare and makeup. The brand needs to be premium, more premium and more premium. You cannot do the other side. This is very different than skincare and makeup. And for the perfumery brands now, the landscape, I think we will really welcome more brands that positioning as a premium brands that together they grow the market share. If only documents can top in that, we cannot, you know, have sustainable growth. So we need really more partner brands or friends brands to really join in together with us to grow this market and gain the market share in the premium local perfume brands.
That's very true, what you're saying. That's very true. I will take a last question, because I think after that, you know, it will get out of control. But I have a question from Nicole. We're going to end up with this one, Nicole Lin. She's asking you all, after in the post-pandemic period, for people who want to join this industry, which sector or category between makeup, skincare, or fragrance in Asia offers the most potential in terms of sales and job opportunities? So maybe very quickly, what would you say? I don't know, Ivy?
I don't think there's difference, among makeup, skincare, fragrance. We all have a lot of potential and opportunity in terms of jobs.
Okay.
It's just you should choose the one really fits in your interest.
Okay, and maybe Anna, since you are going to you're probably discussing with different employers at the moment. So what is your vision on that?
I tend to agree with Ivy that I think that also because of the pandemic, a lot of companies have also restructured the way they do it, the way the brands are managed. And so you see brands where a team can work on not just one category at the same time. So it isn't really like, oh, I only do makeup, I only do skincare, I only do fragrance. Sometimes you work cross-category. And so it's the way the brand can survive and thinks about how to manage itself more than it is the category.
Thanks for that. Allez, I take a last one because we haven't touched on that and it's an important topic. Vinaya asked about, she's from India. She asked about how can a brand, should a brand in this category adapt to sustainability, especially in the fragrance industry? And do you see some interesting best practices in terms of going more sustainable in the fragrance industry? Who would like to answer that question? Sustainability.
I can take a stab at it from the start.
Okay.
I definitely agree, yes, that I think brands are definitely going to be more sustainable, especially because this is something customers are asking for. And even I see it actually even from a retailer perspective. So one clear example I can think of is that I went into Sephora last week. I was looking at a product and it was the sales girl who told me, this product is really highly rated independently. And she gets out her phone, she takes out an app and she scans it on this app called Yuka, which is independent of any brand. And she shows me, look how highly rated it is. Look at the ingredient list. This is what, and this is what they're using as a sales, as a point of conversion to try and get people to want to purchase the product. So yes, I definitely think that it's going to be something brands are going to have to adapt to because the customers are asking for it.
Excellent. Anna, you're really the best. Thank you for your sharp insights. Ali, I will answer the last question myself. It's a fast one. Someone asked, do you think perfume line is necessary for a luxury brand and how important it is? Well, if you listened well to my presentation and you watched all the charts I showed, the answer is definitely yes. Fragrance is a natural extension for practically all luxury brands, especially luxury fashion brands. And this is linked with the fact that they try to create, around personal equipment, a global product portfolio. And it's not only that, it's also often a very strong business that can be sometimes even bigger than the initial core business of the luxury brand. For jewelry brand, it's a little bit different. It's on a case-by-case basis, but for certain brands like Van Cleef and Arpels, I don't think they want the perfume to grow too much, but it's still a way to enable certain clients to enter into the world, the poetic world of Van Cleef and Arpels by bringing, one of these beautiful bottles with the little fairy in their bathroom at home. For Bulgari, it was a little different. They were looking for critical mass and they wanted fragrance to really help them get this critical mass. But globally, I think it's really clear from my presentation, luxury fashion brands and beauty and fragrance in particular will remain the best business friends. All right, so we will stop here and I will hand the microphone now to Johnny, who probably will say a few words.
Okay, thanks, Professor Dennis, and thanks for all our alumni, and thanks for all the participants to join our organization. So introduce myself. My name is Johnny Liang, and I'm in charge of the MBA Global MBA program recruitment in APAC region. So that's why I will go and take probably 3 to 5 minutes time to just give you a short briefing about this program. This Global MBA program is very important. So all of us tonight will be here is because of this program. So alumni is going to study the program, and the professor is teaching this program. I would like to see the ESSEC Global MBA programs not only give you the knowledge, but definitely you will go through this 1 year full-time program to learn a lot of things from Dennis, from other professors from ESSEC, and also this is a very good connections for you to the industries. And also through this program, you will have a very good networking with our alumni, and even the past alumni and the future alumni. And also the last, this is a very good experience for you in your life. And through this 1 year journey, you will learn a lot of things, meet new friends, travel a lot of places. So all these memories will enhance your skills, will bring you to the better position. Okay, so I'm going to share the screen to you for the short presentation about the program. Okay, I think you will see my screen. So this is the tonight topic, and I'm going to brief you about this program. I will just do a very quick one. So this is a program we are talking about, and how we are here is to cover this program, ESSEC Global MBA program. Just a little bit background about ESSEC Business School. We are the world school with the French roots, and according to the latest ranking, we're number 6 best European business school through Financial Times ranking, and we are the school have all the triple crown accreditations, which are the ASSB, AMBA, and the EQUIS. And currently, ESSEC have a full campus over the world. We have 2 campus in France, Sergi and La Défense, and we have 1 campus in Singapore and 1 campus in Morocco. For this Global MBA program, probably you will have a chances to study both France and the Singapore campus, but not including the Morocco campus currently. So for luxury track, you will all study in France at both Sergi and the La Défense campus. Okay, related to the Global MBA program ranking, so through Financial Times, we are number 13 in terms of the international experience, number 19 in terms of the international mobility. So that's why tonight you have see our alumni, they are coming from a lot of places, China, Taiwan, Philippines, South Korea. So our alumni is actually over the world. And through the QS latest ranking, Global MBA ranking 2022, which is we are number 2 in Asia, number 27 worldwide. Okay, this is a program's highlight. So this is a 12 months full-time program. Every year we only have 1 intake start on September. The program is totally teaching English, and you will have an option to study in the 2 campuses. They have a 3 months capstone project attached with the program. And during the program, you will visit 3 to 5 countries as a business trips. And in total, you will have more than 30 companies industry visit experience. And for this program, we are offering the 2 tracks. So beside the luxury brand management, which is tonight we are talking about, also we are offering another track called strategy digital leadership. So by the way, for the luxury MBA, we are successful running more than 26 years. That's why you will see the alumni, they are graduating from the different years. Okay, so for our Global MBA programs, more focused on the soft skill training, particular experience rather than the academic studies. That's why during the programs, you will have a unique experience through business trips, one-to-one mentorship program, and you will also have an experience to attend a lot of professional talks. Okay, so last few pieces, talking about the intro requirements. So just now I have a participant asking how many experience they have. So for our programs, we are looking at candidates from age 25 above. Maximum, we can probably accept a student age around 34, 35. So which is our class profile, have an average age as 30, average work experience as 6 years. And we are looking for candidates have at least 3 years full-time work experience. This is the minimum. And we are preferred candidates who work with the international elements. Bachelor degree is compulsory. Competitive GMAT GRE is compulsory. And if your bachelor degree now study through English, you need to submit IELTS or TOEFL, this kind of English certificate. Okay, so back to this year, how is the class arrangement and how the course fee looks like? So here are the schedules. 3 term. For luxury brand management, so of course, I'll study in France. And for another track, strategy, digital leadership, you will start the program in France. And for term 3, you will have an option come to Singapore to do exchange term. Cost rate wise, we are charging 49,000 for luxury brand management track and digital leadership for 49,500 euros. And we are offering up to 8 types of the scholarship, depends on your profile. So it depends on when you submit the application, depends on your GMAT score, GPA score, depends on your current industry, future career plans, and also, of course, depends on your nationality. You can apply for different scholarship. Okay, so beside the tonight sessions, actually for this whole week, we are running this ESSEC Experience Week. So start from yesterday until this Saturday. Every day night, we have from Monday to Friday, every day night, we have a different sessions talking about different programs from bachelor degree, master, MBA, EMBA program. And also for Saturday, we have a whole day sessions. So if you are interested for other programs, if you want to continue to learn more about the Global MBA program or Executive MBA program, please do register for the other events as well. You can easily just scan this QR code to come to the campaign to do the registration. And our sessions never end. Even today, we close the session. If you have any questions, you can still contact me or contact Professor Dennis. You can just send me your questions. I will definitely get Professor Dennis to answer your questions later. So this is my contact email. You can contact me through email, WhatsApp, and WeChat, and the line depends on your location you are, and most of the social platforms I'm using. And also, I most strongly recommend you to follow us through LinkedIn, Facebook, and Twitter. Just now I have a participant asking where to get the recording sessions. So don't worry about that. So tonight's session is not only through Zoom, we also live broadcast through LinkedIn, Facebook, and YouTube. So if you back to these 3 platforms, you follow ESSEC accounts, you will see the live broadcast, and also we will upload the recording there. You can access anytime. Okay, this is my briefing about our program. Thanks again for all the participants, and especially thanks for Professor Dennis and our alumni.
Thank you.
Thank you, everyone. Have a good night. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Thank you, everyone. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye, everyone.